Hi, this is Jeneen Miller, and you are watching Pieces of Victory. Today, we have on our show Ethan Gary. Ethan is an author of a book called Blessings, Trials, and Miracles. When he was 12 years old, his doctor told his parents that if he's lucky to make it through the night, if he's lucky to live, he will only be a vegetable. He wouldn't be able to walk. He wouldn't be able to communicate. He is a living, breathing, walking, talking miracle. And on my show today, he has attended International School of the Word. He has also attended Grand Canyon University. Currently, he is studying at Charis Bible College. He is currently in the midst of working on a screenplay for Blessings, Trials, and Miracles. And he is also studying to be a trainer through NASM. Please welcome to the show, Ethan Gary. Ethan, how are you doing today? Welcome to the show, Pieces of Victory. It's so nice to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for letting me be on this.
It's just incredible, your story and your testimony of how the doctors had said you weren't going to live, you were going to be a complete vegetable, you will never speak. It was just not a good scene. It was not a good outcome as far as the medical outcome and what doctors were saying. And you beat the odds. You are a
Oh, yeah.
walking miracle. I believe it has a lot to do with faith that your parents had, and your mom and your grandma praying, and grandpa, your
Oh,
whole
yes.
family behind you, and the support and love, your dad and your siblings. It's just wonderful to hear this testimony and so heartwarming. And I remember I was reading your book on the plane, and I was going through a down time in my life, and it was so comforting and so peaceful to read your book. I felt like it was almost a blanket over me, comforting me with peace. And I would like other people to read this book too, because I truly believe that our society is definitely in need of some healing right now with everything going on. And we need that light. We need a light in this darkness that
Yes.
we're facing, because there is light and we have to look for it. And even if it's the little miracles, there were so many little miracles along the way that we can't ignore them. We have to acknowledge them, because that is our hope to get us through our darkest times. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start at 12 years old. This is when the accident occurred. Is that correct?
Yes, that was when it started. I was 12 years old and a half, I would say. So it was during the summer on May the 22nd. And my grandpa was looking for horses for sale because he was going to retire from his working job. And he saw a horse for sale on the newspaper. So he called the number, and it was a lady who answered the phone. And she wanted us to come as soon as possible. So it was around 7 whenever we left the house at night. So we drove over, and it was far to the south part of Lubbock, and Lubbock is a big city. So we drove over there, and we arrived, and it was a small little house, but it had a big backyard, and that was where the horse was. So after seeing the fences around and going through a little, I would say a little, I would say it was sort of like a shed where she kept like her boots and her saddles and all that to the background where the gate was. And I went through, put on my boots, and there I was watching that horse. At first, the lady wanted to show how calm this horse was. So she hopped on it and she rode a couple of times around it just to show how safe it was. And she hopped off and she wanted either me or my grandpa to volunteer to try it. And I said I would. So I hopped on. At first, the horse was pretty calm, and I read a little bit, and then something just went wrong. So the horse went insane, and what started to buck me. I did beat the 8 second of the rodeo.
Yeah, you described it as like riding a bronco, and
Oh yeah, so it was just like a rodeo place, and it kept on bucking me, but I kept on holding on. But it finally kicked me off, but it was to a certain location where I landed. So it's supernatural that that happened. That was kicked off to this one area, and this one area was where the gate was, and there was a sort of like a sticking
like a
um
bolt.
bolt that was just sticking out. It had 4 inches wide, and it went right through my head,
Oh my God.
pierced through the brain, and exit the back of my head.
Oh my God. That's awful. That's
So
horrifying.
yes,
I
it was.
remember reading about that, and
Yeah,
it just threw you off like a rag doll, and it could you could have landed somewhere else, but you
yeah,
where this bolt was. That's
yes, it
horrible.
was a horrible moment. And then I went backwards after going to frontwards, then backwards, and landed right on the back of my head, which the doctor said that could have been possible for me to also be blind.
Oh no. So let me get
But
this straight.
yes,
The bolt went on the side of your head, but then when
yeah.
you landed on the back of your head, did you hit the bolt again?
No, I hit the ground.
You hit the ground.
So I went forward and then fell backwards. So yeah.
That's awful.
So whenever I landed on the ground, I broke my arms, and I'm not sure if the horse might have came in near to me, but I also have another scar on my shoulder. But it's just a little star on it. But me and my grandpa think it could have been from the foot of the horse that might have stomped on it.
Oh my God.
So yeah, and then as soon as I landed on the ground, I had a stroke because of the injury that I had in my brain, and I broke my ribs and collapsed my lungs.
Oh my God. Horrifying.
Yeah.
It's just a miracle that you're alive today after that.
Yes, I thank God every day that I'm still alive and everything that I do,
And
even
not only
the
alive,
breath
but
that I take.
walking, talking, and doing some amazing things. And we'll get into that in a second. So tell me, there's like little miracles along the way with the doctors, certain doctors that were fitting
Oh yeah.
specialists that they could have been on vacation. Maybe they just so happened to be there at the right time.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, uh, well, the surgeon guy that was specifically for the brain, was just about to leave the hospital. But then he forgot his papers and he ran back to his office. And then he got the call that I was being sent from a air helicopter. So he went straight to the surgery room.
That's so awesome. And I
Yes.
feel like just perfect timing. And it's not a coincidence here. I feel
Oh, yeah.
just it was meant to be to save you. You were meant to
Yeah.
you were meant to share this story with the world, to provide hope,
Yes.
provide healing, and the power of healing in this story is just remarkable. And it
Yes.
just brings me peace every time and hope that we can see healing, we can see miracles.
Yes, definitely.
So everything's in chaos. They're rushing to your family's rushing to the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
I remember you had mentioned your grandma, you call your grandma Lovey and your grandpa Papa.
Oh, yeah. Well, Papa had to drive because he wasn't allowed to ride on the helicopter. So he had to drive all the way from the south part of Lubbock to the northern part, which was where the covenant was. And Lovey said that as soon as she saw him, he looked like a ghost.
Oh, did he blame himself for the accident?
He did blame himself a couple of times, but I reassured him that it wasn't his fault. And yeah,
And he was at peace with it because I understand
yes,
he
definitely.
passed away, correct?
Yes,
Yeah. So he's at peace with it.
yes,
Love that.
definitely.
So back to the journey. People were there at the right place at the right time. Tell me about the negative news when your mom got to the hospital, that one of the doctors made your mom cry. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh,
It's such
yeah.
an important thing.
Really, it was my dad who was there because my mom was all the way in Austin, and Austin is a good drive for about 6 hours to Lubbock. But my dad, he was in Arkansas, but he got a jet that his company let him use, and he was flown in just an hour after the incident. And as soon as he got there, I think it was about 4 or 5 hours later after the surgery that the surgeon came out and he went with both of my papa and dad. And it was one of the baddest news that they had ever heard before.
Oh. And so
they,
tell us what they said.
yes, the doctor was not sure if I would live through that night. He thought I would be done for. Um, they said if I did survive, which was just a tiny chance I would never speak, never be able to read or write. I was paralyzed, so I couldn't really move my body, but my head. Um, they said that I could be blind from me hitting the back of my head. And basically, I couldn't really communicate with other people.
Wow. Wow. And you just beat all those odds,
Oh, yeah.
which is incredible. And I'm so pleased that to hear this miracle is just unbelievable. I love it. It makes me so happy
Yes.
that you proved it wrong. You proved it wrong. There's something
Oh,
to be
yeah.
said about the paranormal. There is something to be said about God and
Yes.
the afterlife and the present.
Yes.
We're in the spirit world. We just have to believe it.
Amen.
So let's continue. So here your mom gets this news. I'm sure she's crying, and I think I had read that she was crying, hysterical, so
Y-
upset. But they continued with their faith and praying. And tell us what happened next.
Yes, my mom, who was all the way in Austin, she heard from my grandmother. And as soon as she heard that something had happened, but at first, both Lovey and my mama weren't sure what had happened because my papa only told them that I was in the hospital. So at first, mama is just a little bit nervous about what happened because she said, "Oh, he might have fallen off the horse and might have broken some bones."
Right. She didn't know the severity of it at this point.
Yes, but then I think Lovey heard from Papa again and heard that it wasn't going so well with me going to a surgery and that they needed a brain surgeon to go through the whole thing. So that really gave mom a heart attack after
Oh,
hearing that. So
I
she
can imagine.
told, I think Olivia was at the hospital and she was talking to my mom. And my mom was talking and said, "Hey, yes, whatever you do, find the news. What is happening to Ethan?"
Wow.
So I think that finally the nurses told the what was happening
Oh,
through the brain surgery. Really, I had two surgeries because at first because they weren't sure if I would even live through the night. They only worked on my brain. They did not work on my broken arms till after I woke up from my coma.
wow.
So anyway, my
How
mom,
long? I'm so sorry. Like, can we back up a little bit? How long were you in
yes.
a coma for?
What's up?
How long were you in that coma for?
Oh, 10 days.
10 days. Is that when you were experiencing all those dreams? You were having some
Yes, that was
crazy dreams?
whenever I was having a lot of, I wouldn't say dreams, but more like nightmares
Oh no.
that were just, they felt so real, but like still unimaginable.
Can you tell me, did you ever flatline at all? Like, in
Really.
other words, were you ever pronounced dead at some point
Oh,
and they
yes.
resuscitated you?
The, I think um, the EMT person. Well, I think there were two that said that I was technically dead, and they had to use the AED to keep me alive and to give me some of those shock bolts. But
Wow.
yeah, but I was technically dead.
Do you remember anything when you flatlined?
Um,
Do you remember
well,
anything?
I don't remember me being kicked off and hitting the bolt, but I do remember being on the ground
Okay.
and I was crying and shouting. I can't remember if I said any words though, but was just shouting out loud. And I heard my papa coming over there, and I think the lady who Lois was running to her house to call 911. But anyway,
But
also
anything when things went blank for you, when you were out?
not yet, but I heard a voice from the Lord, and He was just giving me peace and calm, even though
I
I
think you had
was,
mentioned that in your book. That
yes,
you said it was not a tunnel,
it was not a
but
tunnel
it was the peace.
or any light, because with all of the blood that was coming out, I could not see a thing. It was just darkness that I heard the Lord Jesus Christ just say, Ethan, you will, it's fine. You will be healed from this incident.
Oh wow.
So he kept on saying similar words to this, and I just had the peace of God in my heart.
Oh, that
And
is the
then,
hope and the light to take
oh,
the
yes,
whole journey right there. It was
yes,
definitely reassuring you that everything was going to be all right.
yes,
And
definitely.
that just reinforced your faith even more.
Yes,
That's awesome. I wanted to hear that story, and I feel like it's very important to hear these life
yeah,
that stories, even if you were out for a minute or less than a minute. The point is,
yes,
you had a message delivered and peace come over you and hope.
yes,
And that's wonderful. And we all need to hear these stories to just reassure us about the afterlife. So
yes.
I wanted to touch base on that. Okay, so let's move right along. Mom's crying. She has this horrible news, but yet grandma and mom are keeping their faith.
Yes. Lumpy was at her house, and whenever she heard the news, she wasn't sure what was going on, but she hopped to the car, and she was driving to the Covenant Hospital, but she was just crying unstoppable. But she was able to make it to the hospital, and she was trying to hear what was going on. So,
Oh,
and
first of all, I just want to say Lovey was named after Gilligan's Island Lovey, the character from Gilligan's Island. Is that correct? And you started calling her that? Did you two watch Gilligan's Island together?
well,
Is that
that
what
was one
happened?
of my favorite TV shows back then.
Okay.
And I could not say grandmother or grandma. So, so that's where I came the idea of calling her
Oh,
Fluffy,
so
because
cute.
I could get the word love out of my voice and to then just add the lie. So
That
yeah,
is so cute. I
Fluffy.
love it. I just wanted the audience to know that bit of information. Very important.
Yes. Uh, but anyway, while Fluffy was in the car, she saw a helicopter going through and was going to the opposite way to the south while she was going to the north part of the hospital was. So she was pretty sure that helicopter was going to get me. So she did not think that I would be in an ambulance. I would be flown from that helicopter, and she was right. That helicopter came to come and get me
Oh,
to the Covenant Hospital.
so she had a vision, pretty much, that
Yes, she did.
she was very well connected to you. All
Yes,
right, so now we are picking up Lovey and the angel she saw.
yes,
Okay,
um,
you see that angel at the hospital, right?
yes. Well, sort of. Both me and Lovey saw the same angel, we believe. After I was knocked out from the horse, I do not remember the helicopter or anything, but whenever we had finally landed and they were taking me to the hospital, I saw an angel by my side, and It was so bright. I couldn't even describe it. Like it was so bright on his head, he looked bald. Like
Oh,
I did not see any hair because it was so shiny. But he was smiling at me until we walked through some of the hallways to the surgery room, and he kept being right by my side till we got there. So yes,
oh, awesome. And the fact that your grandmother saw the same angel just
yes,
reinforces that this wasn't a figment of your imagination.
yes. And Lovita saw it later after the surgery was over. So they were taking me to one of the ICU rooms, and I was basically wrapped like a mummy
Oh,
with all of
dear.
the bandages all around me. But she saw another person running with them, and it wasn't dressed like all of the other doctors or nurses, but she also thought it was the same angel that I saw.
That's so heartwarming. I love the story and the fact that you and grandma are so connected that way.
Yes,
I love
definitely.
I love it. So that was just another validation of reassurance that everything was going to be all right. So that
Yes,
strengthened the faith of your mom and grandma and
yes.
your dad. So that's wonderful that that happened. And do you want to talk about the steps afterwards of how you had to start walking all over again? You had to start to
Yes.
talk all over again. Now, mind you, before you were able to talk and communicate with anyone, you pretty much were understanding everything around you. And it was kind of
Yes.
frustrating for you because you were communicating in your mind, but you just didn't know how to take what was going on in your mind and have it vocal. You couldn't be vocal about it. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, sure. Well, whenever I finally woke up from my 10 days of me having that coma, I saw my papa and my mom and Lovey, and they were throughout the room, and there were nurses waking me up. And I could understand what they were saying and what my family was saying. And everybody was smiling at me, and uh, Papa was grinning like a storm, and he was singing the old hymn song, "The Holy, Holy, Holy is the Lord Almighty," because he was just so glad that I was still alive and capable, and so I could understand that part, but just there wasn't any words coming out of me.
You feel the love that your family had for you.
Yes,
And that's
definitely.
pretty awesome. And they were still communicating with you. And do you want to talk about the baby steps that you took? Because it wasn't just vocal. I think you were writing things. Were you writing notes or he was showing
Uh,
notes or something? There was some kind of
uh,
communication.
there was a little bit of communication, but not too much because I couldn't really um, write down all of the English language down,
Was
just a
it
few.
something that he would say yes or no to or nod?
Yeah,
There was
like,
like some kind of communication going on.
yeah, but
A nod or, a
yeah,
yes or a no.
I would either nod or shake my head whenever, basically whenever there was a doctor and my dad was there, and I would look at the doctor and shake my head, and then roll his eyes at me. So it was basically body language. That was our
So if
communication.
they were saying something negative about how you couldn't walk or something, you were just
But it was a good time. But other ones, I could write a few words down, but not too many.
okay. Maybe that's where
Like,
I was getting that from. But I remember
yes,
the nodding the head, and then that maybe
yes,
progressed into a few notes down. But there was communication going on, and it was baby steps. I just
yes.
I remember how determined you were when you were learning how to walk all over again. It was just such a determination and faith you had that God was going to help you with the healing process.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that or too soon? Do you want to talk about
Yes,
something else
well, let's
prior?
do. Um, whenever I was in the covenant, one of the other doctors saw that I was able to move my foot. So he wanted to see if I was really paralyzed like they thought I was, or if
Right.
I could really move my legs around. So they got a huge walker, like it was as big as a door could go through. So, but they patched me through, and they wanted me to walk through that room and to the hallway, and my mom was bribing me. She had like
You were
$50 in
really
her hands, so she was so determined. She was wanting me to walk again, so she
That's
was
so awesome.
handing
I
that.
love mom for
So
that.
I was walking, trying to get there to get those $50.
That
But
should do it.
anyway, after me being able to walking at the covenant, I knew that I would be able to walk again. And after they moved me from the covenant to the St. David's, which is a rehab in Austin, Texas, um, I I knew that I couldn't stay in that wheelchair too much longer. So one day my mama ran off to talk to the doctor after our session was over, and I got near to the bed with the wheelchair, and I tried to push myself up,
Oh, wow.
and I was just determined to be able to at least do the little steps. But as soon as I got up, I fell straight forward,
Oh,
and I
goodness.
landed on my head. And I was
Oh,
like,
no.
no, maybe I am paralyzed. But
Oh,
I but I did not give up. I
no.
kept on believing I could walk again, and that's sort of where um, Dad had his faith in me, because my dad had his grandmother who just passed away a month before the horse accident, and she had polio, and she couldn't walk into her whole life. She uh, it was in a wheelchair, and then his his father was also in a wheelchair from the same disease.
Wow.
So
So he was
he,
determined
he
that
was
you were going to walk.
determined I would walk again. So
Oh,
um, we would we would sneak out from my trapped room that I was in, because I didn't want to eat some of the little foods that they passed around. So we snuck out. We got on the elevator and we went all the way to the basement where they had a cafe. And as soon as the elevator was closing, Dad wanted me to stand up.
oh, wow.
And at first, he was holding on to me while I was standing, but it was process. And then the next day, he wanted me to hold on to the wheelchair for a little bit. And then the next day, he wanted me to do a bit of stepping out
So
of
you
that.
gradually do, gradually
Oh,
take
yeah.
baby steps. That's smart. Okay.
Yes. So then it was some baby steps out of that elevator. And then at the end, he wanted me to walk all the way to the cafeteria. So I was
Was he bribing you too?
determined. Well, he didn't bribe me like my
Like
mom
mom and
did.
grandpa. Grandpa did it too, didn't he?
Yes,
Grandpa was waving those dollar bills at you too.
Papa did it for me to say Papa again.
Ah,
Because I could say mom and dad
that's
again
right. He did
with
it with the
my
speech. He
words.
bribed you with the speech.
So he was determined for me to say Papa again. So as soon as I
Oh,
said Papa, he gave me a $50.
that's so funny.
But, oh yeah. So, it
So
shows that they were determined and I was loved.
oh, and how many times did dad take you to that cafe or cafeteria that was,
Probably a dozen times because we almost went every morning down there
oh,
because of
that was to
the
get your practice. You were
oh
practicing
yeah,
full time.
yeah,
Those
before
baby steps.
yes, before all of the schedules that I had, because I had PT and OT and speech and musical. I think it was called the musical therapy. So yeah,
Oh, wow. That's so awesome.
so I had
Want to
those
tell the
first.
audience about the musical therapy just briefly?
Yes. Well, it was sort of funny because whenever I could hear music, I could say some of those words. So whenever the musical therapist came in, she was playing one of Alan Jackson songs that I had heard before with my grandpa riding in the pickup before at our ranch and back. But I was literally singing that song, and my dad was pretty impressed. But anyway,
That's
because of
awesome.
that,
It definitely works. That's for sure.
yes.
That's exactly why I wanted to point that out to the audience. And then you went through a couple of speech therapists and you landed a good one. The last one was the best one.
Yes, her name was Miss Pam, and she was also determined in the faith with my family, and just she kept on giving me more steps on my speech therapy, and she gave me guidance. Her main therapy was called the prompt session. And that one is basically like you would touch the throat and would be able for you to smoothly say words to come out of your mouth
Wow, that's so
just by rubbing at the throat or the back of the throat, touching the chin, touching it anywhere where we're near to the mouth or even the jaws. So it was just an easy way for me to relearn to talk again.
how did you end up finding her? Because she was such a blessing to you and your family.
Yes, she was one day, she was in my main speech therapy in St. David's, but she was one day like assistant to the my main speech therapist. And my mom, I just loved her.
Yeah, she ended up
So
being one of the best ones that you had.
yeah, we got her number and we found where her other clinic was. So for about 3 years, I went every Tuesday to go and see her, and she just worked on me for those 3 years. But she was also determined for me to be able to talk again.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. And you are, and you're amazing. And the one thing I really love about you is the fact that you choose your words carefully. You take
Oh yes.
choosing your words and articulate wonderfully. And so many of us are just so hasty with our speech, and just, a lot of things just fly out a million miles an hour. But when someone actually takes the time to think about
Mm,
what they want to convey, it's more me. I feel it's more meaningful. So
yes, definitely.
you have an edge. You have an edge.
Oh, yes.
So let's go back because I want to go back to the walking because this is
Yes.
very important. You're determined, and dad's giving you baby steps right now. You're going back and forth to the cafeteria. When did you go full throttle? Can you tell me the length of time?
Yes. After being able to walk to the cafeteria, Dado knew that I would be able to walk again. So we did keep it as a secret from the doctor just in case, because he wanted me to stay on the wheelchair. But as soon as we got out of the rehab, that day I stood up from that wheelchair and to walk through the sidewalk to the car, and
Wow.
then rode off with dad.
Wow, this is right after you're getting the first day out of rehab.
Yeah, I stood up from the
Wow.
wheelchair and started walking.
And that's pretty brave because the first time you tried to do that, you landed on your head.
Yes,
According to my recollection, where you landed on the bed on your head. Is that correct?
yes,
You
yeah,
leaned over the bed in the hospital. Okay, I just wanted to
yeah.
point that out to the audience so it wasn't like you hit the ground, but still.
No,
I'm sure I
just
just want to
landed.
make sure the audience knows this. And so
Yeah,
at least you had a cushion, which was the bed, versus a
yeah.
you've already had enough done to you.
Oh yeah, but I
So,
didn't land on the bed, but I
but
waited
still,
for
now you're on the
you.
sidewalk. Now there's no cushion. What a brave
Yeah.
soul. Because
Yeah.
you remembered what happened last time. But perhaps
Oh
getting those
yeah.
little baby steps that dad was helping you do gave you more encouragement and you were feeling more
Yes.
confident.
Yeah.
And of course, your faith. So
Yes.
here you were. You didn't even fall. You went straight to the car.
No, and Dad was by my side just in case if something did happen.
He was going to catch you.
Like he could catch me just like back at the hallway to the cafeteria.
Oh,
But
that's
he
so
was just
awesome.
but I kept on walking to that car and hopped in, and we drove off out of that St. David's to our house. So, yes.
Wow. Awesome. I love that story. Love it. Love it. Okay, so we're still healing. You're learning how to walk. Your speech is improving.
Yes.
Gets better and better. And tell me about the eyesight too. I mean, there's such power in healing. And do you want to dive into the speech improvement or the eyesight improvement? What which would you like to tackle?
Uh, I would say the speech one,
Okay.
because the I one was a little bit longer than my speech.
Okay.
Um, Well, with my speech, I started going every Tuesday to go and see Miss Pam. But also, my mom was also very educated, and she taught me how to speak again. And also, love you. She stayed in where we lived in Round Rock. And she also helped me talk again.
That's awesome.
So,
And let me
yeah,
emphasize that you were homeschooled too. Is that correct?
yes. Before the horse accident, since I had, I think it was fourth grade whenever I started my own school. But fourth grade through sixth grade was all homeschooled, and then here came the horse accident. And but yeah, my mom had got a diploma for a master of home ec.
Wow. That's so awesome.
So she taught me and my two sisters from there on. So yeah,
I feel that you're very well educated and articulate, and kudos to mom with homeschooling.
yes,
I just wanted to
definitely.
point that out. And then after the horse accident, you had to learn everything all over again,
Yes.
or just
Yeah.
how to convey. What about the educational part? I think the educational part was still there in your head, but it was just a matter of conveying and speech. Is that correct? Because I
Yeah,
felt like
that
you were
was,
very aware. It wasn't like
yeah,
the intellect was still there. It was just you
yeah,
saying it because according to my recollection on your book, you were very aware about what was going
yes. Um, at first, it was pretty hard for me to to communicate out of my thoughts to words, but both Lovey and my mom tried to help me be able to speak again and read again. But I had some difficulties from my reading skills for about 5 years.
on. Okay.
And we had moved from Texas to Colorado. And I had a sort of like a revelation from God who helped me to relearn how to read again completely. Because before I would try to read the Bible, but couldn't really understand what the words were. From simply like, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. Like, I knew the word world, but instead the words that would come out of my throat was earth. So it was like similar words, so I could understand what it meant, but I couldn't get the right one out
Right.
because of the whole brain injury. But I was really I had a encounter right after I had gotten out of that hospital of me be able to um, speak again and read again from a dream that I had. And I kept on focusing on that dream.
I think it was a vision into the future
Yes.
shown to you, which is so awesome. I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
being that you're a theologian,
Yes.
I know you have an open mind here. So Joseph Smith, if you know about Joseph Smith and
Yes.
the revelation and how he was praying to God, he actually was illiterate. Not that I'm saying that you're illiterate. It was the horse accident. But in his case, he was illiterate. He wanted to understand the Bible, couldn't understand the Bible, and so he asked God and prayed to God so he can understand the Bible. And
Yes.
he was able to do so. So it's very some. I feel like there is definite power in prayer and asking God
Yes.
about something, especially when it's in your spiritual interest,
Oh yeah.
right? So I like that story, and it reminds me of Joseph Smith's story. I just thought I'd
Yes.
point that out that God does give you the tools when you ask for it. So it's
Yes. And after me having that revelation again in Colorado, I started um, reading a devotional by Josh McDowell. Yeah, Josh McDowell was the first real book that I read again. And I would sit next to my mom, and it was a devotional, so it was a everyday thing. So I would try to read again and to say the right words. And after 1 year from 2012 to 2013, around Christmas time, I could completely read again.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Okay, so tell me, how long was that from the accident? From the accident. Okay, you were 12 years old during 12 and a half during the accident, and then how long ago? How long
Uh,
between? Sorry.
5 through 6 years later.
Wow, that's
Yes.
incredible. That's
Yes.
amazing and a miracle. And and the walking was right out of rehab. So how long was that from the accident to you walking out of rehab to the car?
Uh, I would say it was basically a 4 weeks after the surgery.
What?
Yes, I was in that I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, and then they moved me to St. David's, and then I was there for 3 weeks, a total of 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I was started my process after 4 weeks after while I was in St. David's.
Wow.
And
That's
then
just incredible.
so 2 weeks after me growing on me walking again, I
Oh.
was able to re-walk again.
So the walking was first and it happened rapidly. I mean, that's just
Yes.
incredible. And plus you were in a coma. So you were in a coma for 10 days, and yet here you are walking again. It's unbelievable. And they had said that you were never going to walk again. It's one thing when someone is able to walk again and then trying to walk after a coma, but now the doctors were determined that you were never going to walk again, and then
Yeah.
and here you are. That's
Man.
amazing. All right, so let me recap. You learned how to walk rapidly. That's an incredible story. You learned how to speak again in about five years and read
Yes.
5 or 6 years. It's just incredible. Now let's talk about your eyesight. How long
Yes.
did it take to recover with your eyesight? I mean, to the point where you're able to drive right now. You can,
Yes.
that's amazing.
Uh, That was a longer process, I would say, because that was after I started Curious Bible College that happened.
Okay,
But
so tell me what you
anyway,
were seeing. Tell the audience what you were seeing. Was it dark spots, half
uh,
vision, blurriness? What was going on?
well, really, whenever I first opened my eyes, I could see around me, which was a good sign that I wasn't blind like the doctor had told my
Wow.
parents. But I could see for a little bit. But after we moved to, or after I was taken to St. David's, I noticed that seeing far off, it was a little bit blurry. So I started wearing some glasses for a little while. And after St. David's, my parents and my grandparents checked me with several eye doctors, and they gave me different glasses to wear. And some thought I was completely blind, while others thought I was half blind, while others thought that I couldn't see out of my left eye, which is really my good eye. And yeah, exactly. But because really, where I hit my head was my left eye, but yet it was my good eye that I always use.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, after finally finding the right doctor and started wearing glasses, I kept on wearing them for several years. And then in 2015, after I had started Curious Bible College and was having peace in my heart, and my second course was with Barry Bennett. And after hearing his revelation about healing itself, because that was what the course was called, healing.
Wow.
And after that, I took off my glasses and I started um, only seeing close things. Like I would take off my glasses, watch some TV, and then I would put them back on. But after a couple of weeks, I completely took off my glasses and I can see as clear because from our house you can see our mountains around us of Pikes Peak, and I can see the mountains perfectly clear now.
Wow. That's incredible. And there is something to be said, the power of the mind.
Oh yes,
Your positive manifestations by taking this course and really believing, and then your faith, your spiritual faith of God healing you is just incredible. And I
yes.
believe that it was the course. It was the course and the power of belief and the power of faith,
Yes,
manifestation,
definitely.
and faith in God. But I
Amen.
feel like manifestation is faith in God.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? To manifest,
Every step is based on the manifestation and our steps to towards God
right? That's so
and
awesome.
getting closer and closer.
I
It's
love
not it's not a God who's moving closer to us. He's always in the same spot. But if we keep on moving closer to Him, that's where we get to process. As
right.
we get closer and closer to Him, the more manifestation, the more revelation,
I
the
agree.
more healing, the more prosperity, the more blessings, the more healings, the more miracles we can have.
It just ties in too with all religions, I feel, especially since you're a theologian. It's just the more you become higher with your spirituality and the more you get closer to the source, the more things come to you.
Yes.
Clarity, blessings. Yes, it's awesome. Miracles. And I
Yeah.
feel like there are so many miracles around us. We just need to look for them. And even if you're at a low frequency, there are miracles around you. You just have to,
Yes.
and as you find them and you gravitate and you acknowledge and you have gratitude, you keep going up
Yes.
of spirituality.
Yes.
My personal opinion. So we
Yes.
talked about walking, learning how to talk again, and in your eyesight, and taking that course, and that just triggered manifesting in the power of prayer, which is so awesome.
Yes.
It's so awesome. And then we talked about Joseph Smith and the correlation of like having faith in God and being able to understand the Bible.
Yes.
And he ended up getting more than he bargained for. I know you get that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so moving right along, you wanted to talk about seizures. Let's talk about the seizures. Is that what the next thing you wanted to talk about? Yes.
Yes. Okay. So back at it 2009, 1 year after the horse accident, um I guess it was sort of from the brain injury that sort of triggered the seizures that I had. The first one I had, I think I told it on my book, but I think it was in February. But at first, I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't know it was a seizure at all. But I think my parents knew after seeing the doctor, and they took me to the hospital.
I
And
think your mom found you too and thought you were playing with her because you used to play with her a lot and tease her.
yeah,
Not
because
coming to. And
yeah,
since you weren't coming to, she thought, oh, Ethan's just playing again.
yes, I had gone to my room whenever I had it, the first seizure, and at first I thought it was from the video game I was playing because I was just playing a video game, minding my own business, and then all of a sudden my hands were shaking and I had a blackout and fell to the ground. And I could, then whenever I finally woke up, I couldn't move at all.
Oh my God.
My whole body was shut down. So I started calling mom, and I was like screaming because she was downstairs doing the homework with the girls. So mama was like, thought I was just teasing around and said, Ethan, I'll wrap you like a tortilla if you don't knock it off. Because she thought I was just joking around. But then as soon as she saw me, she knew that something was wrong. So she grabbed me in her arms and she was asking me if she should call 911. At first, I was like, oh, I was just teasing you around because I didn't want to go to the hospital, but I couldn't move. So she knew that something had happened, but she finally dialed the number and they tested me, and I think if I'm correct, the doctor confirmed that I had a seizure, and mama and my dad were shocked. And then I had my second and third one, which happened at nighttime.
Was it close together? Was
Uh,
it all in
it,
1 month? Was it
it was more
scattered?
like a 2 month period from each Caesar that I had. So the second and third, I think the second one happened in April, and that one happened while I was in bed and I was laying down and had it. And whenever I woke up, dad and mom were by my side, and I went downstairs to dad's room, and he took care of me for that night. But the next morning, I was fine.
Wow.
But
When did they start giving you medication for it?
that would be my last Caesar that I had.
And they were kind of
The fourth
troubleshooting,
one.
right, for a little bit to see what meds were.
Yes, the last Caesar was probably the worst one that I have
Oh no.
ever had, because I was just, my body was just shaking around, not just my hands, but um, I was my mom and my youngest sister put me on the bed, and as soon as the seizure stopped, well, it was basically done, and I was starting to wake up. They called 911, and then the doctor was confirmed that I needed to start taking this medicine. So going to through those years, I kept on taking that medicine every night at 8 p.m. So it was
So this was after your last seizure. You
yes,
all had enough. You're taking meds. You're trying to do everything that you can to not have to go through this again because it was so painful.
yes. But I was sort of just I wouldn't say addicted, but just kept on taking it every day and just to be safe so I
Right.
would never have another
You were
seizure again.
fearful of
But
another one because it was so painful.
yes, but and it was 2015, the same year that my eyesight came back. That after hearing Barry Bennett's teaching on healing, that I knew that I could go another way
Wow,
with
that's
Jesus Christ.
cool. I didn't know that connection. That is so awesome.
Yes,
That's what triggered it right there was that core.
yeah. So
You knew that with your eyesight, if the eyesight can work and you saw that happening, well, why not this? That was your logic. Why not
yes,
take it a step further?
yes,
Yes. No way are we saying to get off of medication, but Ethan's story, I want to be inspiring for other people. And maybe it can wean some people off of medication through faith, but we're not encouraging the people to just wipe off of medication.
yeah. Because took a slow process. I didn't just take it off of my meds. I just slowly cut off. The first was from a full medicine to just a third, fourth, and then 2 weeks later, cut it in half, and then
Right.
had it every other day, and then
That
just
could cause
completely
mental
stop.
problems if you just cut yourself off of medication. You have to wean.
Yeah, especially with that pill, because it was very required to keep on taking it.
And you were watched by your doctor constantly, correct?
Yes.
During this process.
Yeah, but I kept on switching because like I had switched one in Round Rock, and then I had to get a new one in Colorado.
But you were still under supervision of
Uh,
the
but
doctor.
I was still under the doctor's orders.
Perfect. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Awesome. What an incredible, incredible story. And
Yes.
I love that story. That's fantastic. Once you have faith in one area, you just keep rolling. You just keep rolling with it. That's awesome. Awesome news.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever had a seizure since? You're completely off the meds.
I have never had another seizure again. It.
Wow.
I've been completely healed by Jesus.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome.
He,
That is so
here's
awesome.
here's my secret. I said I'm still taking my meds, but my new med is Jesus. I
That's so awesome.
trust in him, and he has kept me safe from having another Caesar.
That's awesome. And then also hearing the story gives you hope. I know that when I hear someone else's success story, whether it's business, whether it's a healing story, just a success story, I feel, well, I could do it too. Once you put that out there, other people
Yes,
feel like they can do it too. And it's just opening that portal of faith. Yeah,
yes, definitely.
that's so cool. I love it. And your book is very comforting. Again, I
Well,
cannot
thank
emphasize
you.
enough. And I'll have to say, I was abused in the name of God. I was actually tortured in the name of God. So a lot of triggering goes on with me when I hear someone talking about the Lord or saying a prayer or wanting to read a Bible verse or preaching. I have triggered to trauma. And a lot of the survivors that have gone through the same thing as I have the same CPTSD. But it takes a certain person, certain people.
Yes,
I really truly believe they have good intentions, and they have a good heart and
Mhm.
they're non-judgmental, and I really feel that their spiritual level is where it needs to be. And
Yeah.
it's just a feeling I have. It's just a
Mhm.
feeling I have, and I feel that way with you. I'm just letting you know.
Well, thank
It's
you.
a huge compliment because I
Yes.
can't do that with many people. I could do it with
Yes.
Dale Davidson. He's another one.
Yes.
I can talk to him. I feel that because he is supporting LGBTQ, very non-judgmental, and is against these conversion therapies that are torturing our children, I'm fine with Dale Davidson. So it takes a special person, and you're one of those people. But you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was going to mention in your interview with Dale, you had mentioned that there are those who are the sheeps, and then that some of the pastors are not are shepherds, but they're wolves after the sheeps.
Right,
And I truly believe that there are some pastors that we have to be careful about,
right,
but there are still some that have been saved, and they are the true shepherds,
right.
and they can lead us and give us guidance. And that's who I believe I am. I believe I am a shepherd to give peace to other people.
You definitely have a gift, and you're a testimony. And I feel that my energy is pretty high, but when I'm with you, it's 10. You're running at a high frequency, which is a good thing. And the two of us together is like trouble.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You're definitely here for. You are the light. You are an inspiration,
Yes.
really, and for hope. You are giving
Yes.
people hope on what's to come. And do you have anything more to say about those seizures, or do we wrap it up pretty well?
Well, yeah, I would wrap that up. I have another add-on to that of the light. We know that Jesus is our light, but Jesus has given that light to other people, and we are to bring the light to others through our life
Right.
instead
You're
of walking into the darkness of this world.
That's awesome. We are
Yes,
definitely conduits for healing, whether it's massage therapy, whether it's you speaking during an interview, your book, reading your book, the screenplay you're about to tackle.
yes.
Once a week, we'll be on it. Yeah. Let's just add more to our plates.
Oh, yes.
Oh, if we just do a little bit at a time, it won't be so overwhelming, right? I could,
Definitely.
I could definitely see your book on the big screen. That's for sure. I think our society needs to see miracles, more miracles,
Yes, definitely.
for sure. The light in the midst of darkness, right? Giving us hope.
Oh, yeah. Let the light shine.
That's right. Do you want to go into how about trying to get acclimated with society, with friends, and how about love life? Do you want to talk about that? I know you talked a little bit about
Yes,
trials that you had with people, maybe shunning you as a friend and finding out who your real friends are, and then
yes,
potential love. And you want to talk about that?
yes. Do you want to start with closer than a brother in the book?
Yes, let's start
Yes.
with that.
Well, right after me having the horse accident, I had several friends that sort of rejected me because of they weren't sure what had happened and why it happened. So not only did they make that question, they also rejected me and because I couldn't talk. So I had some struggles for 1 year of not really have any close friends. But one day we had switched churches from the Methodist church to the church in the YMCA. And at first, there was a sweet girl who ran up to me and my middle sister, Phoebe, and she just welcomed us and wanted us to be a part of that church. And her name was Becky, and she had made it, or let me rewind. Through our connection with Becky, I met my best friend, and it was her brother, Ben David. And Ben, I never met him before, but one night Becky had a sleepover with Phoebe, and the next morning, her mother had came, and that's where I first met Ben. I was a little bit shy because I didn't have any friends, but um, he wanted to come closer to me.
Right.
Yes,
You really got in touch with the spirit.
yeah, and that's where
No barriers
it
with
was spirit to spirit that we had our friendship, and from then on, we just had our friendship, and it was like King David and Jonathan. He was closer than a brother, and I truly loved him. My agape love that I had for him. And after we had, well, our friendship lasts for 2 years. And after we moved to Colorado, not too much longer, he had a certain accident that he passed away.
so sorry.
Yes, thank you
But he
very
was a
much.
bit mischievous, so he was kind of pushing the envelope. Even when he was with you, he would get into trouble.
Yeah, he was always the daredevil.
Right, and the junkie.
He he would do all these jumps from trees, and he would always try to be the best of the best. So that was sort of how that accident happened to him.
He was always
But
like that. He was always like that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It wasn't your fault.
yeah. But whenever it did happen, I felt like it was my fault
Right.
because me and my mom were thinking about it, just bringing him with us to Colorado because we just loved Ben so much.
Oh,
But whenever we were driving off, we went to Ben's house, and while we were driving off, Ben was running after the car, just waving his hands, and that was the last time I ever saw him.
oh my gosh, that's so sad.
And I had to take some therapy after it,
I can imagine.
but I
Especially
true
when I think it's really hitting home too, because here you were feeling shunned from society,
yes,
and you finally found someone who was a gift and you
yes,
appreciate him, and vice versa. I'm sure it's a mutual feeling, and then that experience of loss. Now what?
yes,
Now what? But here, I feel like he was a vehicle to boost your confidence,
definitely.
find other people that were like him.
And
I believe his spirit is with you, finding
yes.
those other people.
And like we were talking about, he was, I could see his light in him. He
Oh,
was my resource that I knew we were connected as Christians. So he just kept on motivating, and we talked about the Bible and to talked about God and Jesus, just like old friends. Like we knew each other since we were babies, but even though we didn't, but he kept on inspiring me. But now I know because of his faith in Jesus that he's in heaven, and I know I'll see him again
oh,
one day, whenever I either passed away or the rapture happens. That I'll walk to him, and we'll give each other another big hug again, just
oh.
like before.
I still think he's with you, especially as
Yes,
you venture out and find new friends and make changes. Definitely.
yes,
I feel like he was definitely, like I said, a stepping stone to build. He helped contribute to building your confidence. Confidence comes
yes.
from within, but I also feel like that within bends within. Then
Oh
that
yeah,
positive spirit within that you can carry into another
yes,
relationship. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. He's watching over you. He's listening.
Definitely. Uh,
For sure. I know that's very hard. And then trying to, did you make friends while you were friends with him? So those 2 years that you were having
uh,
a relationship, did you help
there were,
help you build other relationships while you were in that relationship, or you didn't start building relationships until after he passed?
it was mostly after that I made more friends. But there were a couple that didn't meet then, and we would talk a little, but just there wasn't anybody like Ben.
Right.
But yeah,
So the therapy helped. You were in therapy for a couple of years, or after that, or
I think I only went once or twice to therapy to talk about Ben stuff and to justify my grief that I had.
that's
But that's just what happened to King David. Whenever he heard that Jonathan had been killed with his father, King Saul, he just wept over him. And that was how I was for a couple of years.
and that was the process.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the trip you had back to Texas to with Papa and Lovey? You stayed with them in the summertime, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if you were going to college out there or what, but then you started having a crush on the waitress. You want to talk
Yes.
about
Well, this was right after I was building up my faith in Charis Bible College. Um, I had just been healed from my Caesars. I was inspired by Andrew Womack and Barry Bennett, and I felt closer to Jesus than ever before. But you know that the devil always tries to kick in whenever you get closer to God. That's when he'll try to steal from you, he'll try to kill you, and he'll try to destroy you. John 10:10. And that's what he did. He saw how close I was to God. So during that summertime, I had gone to Canadian to Texas with my grandparents. They had finally moved over there in 2009. So this was past 6 years later. in 2015.
Okay.
And I was one day me and Papa stopped at a restaurant called The Bucket, and so that's what I titled um, the chapter, "The Bucket List of
Girl.
Compassion." But whenever first saw my waitress, my heart started beating, and I had the normal boy's feeling, the tingling of the whole body, and but anyway, not too much longer. I had to go back um, to Colorado, but not too much longer. And the fall, I had I was kept on thinking about that girl that I saw. So, me and my grandpa, once I was back in Canadian, I think it was September.
Uh-oh. I'm getting that your free will end in 10 minutes again. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem. Uh,
Oh,
Do you
why
think I
are they
could?
giving us a time? I don't know why they're giving us a time limit on this.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Do you think we can finish this in 10 minutes?
I don't know. The bucket curl's a long, that's like a saga, isn't it? No, I
Oh
just
yeah, it's basically I could have
maybe
written a whole book about that.
when I put my input into it.
Yeah. Do you
Okay,
want
let's
to?
try. Let's try and see if we get kicked off.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, me and my grandpa wanted to see if that girl was still at that restaurant, and she was still there. So had so much high hopes whenever I saw her. Um, I think the first time in the fall that I saw her was like they have a drive-through window. So I went through there, and there she was. She was the drive-through waitress, and my smile just got big, and she smiled back at me, and we had a connection, and we started talking a little bit, but not like a huge conversation, but like we would say like, "Oh, how was your day? Oh, it was wonderful. How about yours?" Just the small talks. But after seeing her for about a week, I finally had the courage to um, mention my name. So whenever I saw her at the drive-through window, I said, "Oh, did I ever introduce myself?" And then I said, just like James Bond always says, that my name's Ethan, Ethan Gary. And then she and her, oh yeah,
Oh,
just like
it's smooth.
oh yeah, it was
Grandpa
very
laughed.
smooth.
Papa
But
laughed.
oh yeah. So she introduced herself, and she gave a huge smile back at me. And then we said goodbye. Um, then I saw her again. I'm not sure if I think might have been afterwards. Um, me and I think we were having a small group with David Young, and he does a little Bible study in the morning, and he always had it out at the bucket. So I drove over there at the crack of dawn, and she was our waitress. And I think the music was playing. There was a little guitar guy, and he was playing. What song was it? I think I written it down. the seven Spanish angels. And she was singing that song, and all of the men were singing along. And she came in and she was passing around to all of the food, but I kept on looking at her, and she kept on looking back at me until we kept on smiling, and it was a good time. But and then later, I had to get approval because my mom wasn't there. She was in Colorado, but she had heard about me talking about this girl. So I had a new best friend who was a her name was Kendra Blade, and she was around my mom's age, but she was my wise woman that I always went to talk to
Oh,
about like girls or any kind of instructions that I needed to hear about. So my mom hired Kendra to meet this girl. So me and Kendra drove over to the bucket one morning, and we passed through, and she was our waitress. And it was sort of funny, but while we were walking to our table, while she was guiding us to us, she was in front of us. But Kendra said, "Is that the girl you're after?"
oh,
Oh yeah.
she did not. Oh my God.
And I nodded my head, and she looked at us, and she gave us a big smile.
Oh
But
my God. That's so funny.
oh
Well,
yeah.
she ripped it off like a band-aid. Then what happened?
Then we ate, and we talked to this the waitress, and we had a good time. And Kendra gave me and my mom the approval that she could be the one for me. So I finally had the determination to ask her on the day. And this was about 2 months later after our little conversations that kept on growing from our conversation. And I finally, one day, me and my grandpa drove over there, and there she was. And I was having basically a heart attack at the same time that my heart stopped beating. And time just all of a sudden stopped. Whenever I asked her on a date, I asked her if she wanted to go to the theater. And after that long period, even though it was only a few seconds long, time always changes, you know. But she said yes, and I was so happy.
Oh,
And we I had told her that we'll talk about like what day we can go and
let's talk about the bucket girl.
okay.
You're higher than a kite right now. She said
Yeah.
yes. You're on cloud nine right now. Life is good. Paw pats you on the back. Good job. You were amazingly brave to ask her. I don't know
Oh
how guys do that sometimes.
yeah.
Um, I've been rejected with sales, so I know how that goes.
Oh
But
yeah.
being rejected by a girl or by a guy, it can be nerve-wracking. So
Oh
I can
yeah.
only imagine because you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah, because that was my first girl I ever asked on the date.
Oh,
So
and this
yeah.
is sales. You just keep going and going until something hits.
Yes.
Keep on going, honey. Eventually,
oh
something
yes,
will hit, just
definitely.
like sales. Did I leave that
Uh,
part out? I don't know. Okay, so you're higher than a kite. You're feeling really good right now. Cloud nine.
yes.
What happens next?
So it was the next day that I probably took a whole hour of getting all ready to go to the bucket. And I did not go till like they were almost going to close it. So
Okay.
it was 2 p.m. whenever they usually close it. So I got all ready, dressed up, wore the perfect shirt, perfect jeans,
Oh.
made sure that I had my cologne on.
So you are all decked out.
I was all ready for that pre-date for our plan for the theater. But my papa drove me over and dropped me off at the bucket, and I went inside, and I had a different waitress. So I was a little bit disappointed, but I could still see the bucket girl,
Right.
and it was a whole turn back, and she wouldn't look at me. There was no smile in her face, but she acted like she was too occupied, but I could tell that something happened from me asking on a date till then. I'm not sure if she talked to some friends or to her parents
I
or
think that's
just,
probably what happened because she
yeah,
seemed happy. She said yes. She could have made an excuse or said she had a boyfriend
yeah.
or something at that point, and she did not.
And the only thing that really shocked me was whenever she said yes, she was just smiling at
Right.
me. And then all of a sudden it was a flip side, and she didn't look at me about it while I was there, and they were about to close. So I went to the little t- place where they take the check, and that's just where the kitchen is. And she was in the kitchen, and she was facing the other way, so I could only see her back, but she did not turn around. She was just was acting like she was looking at something else, and
And just
then
avoiding you.
yeah, so then I paid and walked off, and Papa came back and picked me up, and I was down, and we made some theories about what happened if maybe it was just a little she was just busy, or if she was really rejecting me, but we weren't exactly sure.
Right. Because there
But
was no communication. So she couldn't
yeah,
communicate with you, but you got the hint. Obviously,
yeah,
she was avoiding you. You
yes,
can always tell when someone isn't interested or they're avoiding you. I mean, if
yes,
someone's interested, you will know, you will tell by body language, you'll tell by communication.
yes,
And it just wasn't organic. It wasn't flowing, but it was organic when you were at the drive-through.
yeah,
So perhaps maybe a friend talked to her or who knows what.
yeah,
If someone is that easily persuaded by someone else, then they're not worth your time anyway.
yeah,
And that's my attitude. When you want someone who's a strong woman, you don't want someone who's weak and doesn't think
yes,
for themselves, right?
yeah,
So to me, when something doesn't happen, and that's why a lot of times I don't pray to God because even when I get disappointed a lot, I get rejected a lot. things don't always come my way. I mean, sometimes people look at my life and they think, oh, how lucky you are. You have all these things come to you. I'm about to tell you that I have knocked and knocked and knocked, and I'm good at sales. I just keep on going until something hits. And if something's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. I'm not going to force it. So
Yes.
a lot of times when there's a roadblock, I think, well, there's a reason for that. If this person doesn't want me or doesn't like me, well, there's definitely a reason for that. And maybe they're not ready for my energy. I don't put it on me in a negative way. I think they're not ready for my energy. I have really good energy. If you don't want to be around me, that's not on me. That might be what you're going through right now in your life. And I know it's hurtful. It's easier said than done. It's easier to say this, right? But in hindsight, I'll look at it and I'll think, yep, they just weren't ready for my energy. Or maybe they have some negative stuff going on in their life and I'm I'm not allowed to go through another hell. Do you know? I've already been through enough, so maybe it's protection. So I think of it that way. Let's say things aren't happening with my book. I don't think, oh, this should have happened. And I know sometimes I get frustrated, but I
Yeah.
think, well, maybe this is where I need to be. I need to be massaging people right now because times are tough. And this is a time of healing. And what everything going on in the world right now with Ukraine and our own personal battle here in the US, which I won't get into right now, but we all know what that is.
Yeah.
People need a break, and inflation going up and finances, they need self-care. And that's where I
Yes.
come in. I'm a conduit of healing in my profession. And so I don't fight it. I just think, okay, well, the time will come when the time will come. And perhaps
Yes.
maybe the movie will go first because I'm writing a screenplay for Pieces of Victory. And then the
Yes.
book will just flourish. So I feel like everything is timed just right. And this is definitely the path that I need to be on. This is definitely the path that you need to be
Mhm.
on. But
Yeah.
your time will come. And when you have someone, it'll be amazing. It'll be
Well,
something
thank you.
just for you.
I keep on trusting in the Lord that He has somebody else for me.
Right. And someone
But
who's good quality,
anyway,
right?
yes.
Let's talk about
Oh,
the healing process because this is very
yeah.
dramatic for you and it's going to lead into
Yes.
something else. Okay,
Yes.
I know what you want to lead in.
Yes. Yes.
Talk about how
Any,
you recovered from it because this is pretty dark. Did you reach out to mom? Did you talk to mom about it? Did you reach out to
uh,
anyone else?
I, I started talking to Lovey about it, and
Oh,
she had the idea to try to see if maybe it was not a rejection, but maybe she was too busy. So she said to try to find her on Facebook and become her friend so then we could message her and to see if we can make the plan for our date.
right.
But then she completely blocked me.
Oh no.
So that brought me down to the stage of depression.
Right.
The next,
Understandable.
yeah, the next day, I was just sad and crying and Loving didn't notice, and she asked what was wrong, and I told her what had happened. And I was just not sure what to do. Um, I asked for some advice from both my mom and from my youngest sister, Brinkley. And mom told me to just to let it go and just to go on through my life. While Brinkley said to try to harder on the whole process of getting that date, but I chose to follow mom's advice.
Oh.
But anyway,
And at least you gave it all you had.
Yes.
All you had, you exhausted every possibility, including the one
Yeah.
to the Facebook messaging.
Yes.
You tried, and it's good practice.
Yes, definitely. But
Definitely good practice, even though it's hurtful and it's hard.
yeah.
Practice, and maybe the next time it'll just get easier.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, it continued on for my depression that I had, and I stayed in Canadian for another 3 weeks, I would say. But I was just down. But I called dad, and he had a meeting in Amarillo, so my grandparents drove me over there, and we met dad, and he took me back to Colorado. But even though I was out of Canadian and trying to escape from my sadness, it kept on going for another 6 more months. I had this frustration because both of my sisters had just made new boyfriends. So you can see the jealousy with that, all that. And I basically, I didn't lose, lose a loss of all my faith, but in God, but just in that one area of me having any relationship with any girl. I just um, didn't want to pray any more about me finding that one girl, and just gave up on that one subject. I kept on going to Karis, and
For
my
how long did you give up that subject for?
for those
Six
6 months.
months.
Yeah.
6 months. Okay.
So yeah, I just didn't want to ask God just on that subject about that girl, and
I think you needed that time to heal. So
so, but God was still, even though I had walked away from that area, God was still healing me in that one area, and it took a lot of time, but after the 6 months, I had gone to open days at Karis Bible College, and I just had a new peace and joy inside of my heart, and it gave me that whole surrender back to God instead of just mostly being in God, but not completely with that one area without Him. But I gave it all to Him, and He completely healed. Well, really, I had prayed for that on that open days for my eyes to be recovered and for me to see straight. But God had healed my eyes of my heart, and I was completely free from that depression that I had.
that's so awesome. That is awesome.
Yes,
And I know what that peace is like because I have been in an emotional turmoil many times in my life, and I know what that peace is like.
yes,
Incredible. I mean, you can't mistake it.
yeah,
Complete change, and you know it's there.
yes,
You know the difference between feeling in like you're in turmoil in your head and that peace and calm.
yes.
It's
And that
it's a bit
proves,
of a difference, a major
yes,
bit of a difference.
and that proves that Jesus is not only the healer of our physical bodies, but he is also our healer in our emotional, our mental. and our spiritual bodies. So I was completely healed from my emotional time that I had. And I had the same joy that I had back in the summer of 2015 whenever I started at Garris Bible College.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
My heart was back
Your heart
completely
was
to
back.
God.
That's so cool. I love it.
Yes.
I hate to be a downer, but we're gonna go down another path, another trial.
Like it was my best friend's father. So
It's your best friend's father.
yes,
Okay, let's talk about him. And
yes.
you're calling him what for a pseudonym?
Uh, we'll call him the ex Air Force man.
Okay, the ex-Air
But
Force man. Okay, let's hear about him because he actually was very negative to your self-worth. But you
yes,
took a bunch of lemons that he threw at you and made some lemonade. So let's talk about this trial and how you overcame it.
yes. Well, this one friend that I had our friendship since like first grade. We were just best friends till we moved to Austin. But we just kept our friendship for a long time, and she had a father who was ex Air Force man, and he was always friendly to me. He um, then he didn't have any son till later on in his life, but he always thought that I could be the his son. So we were very close, and um, whenever the horse accident happened, he was just grieving for me. He came into Austin one night. It wasn't too much longer after I had gotten out of St. David's, and he came and he was just crying after me whenever he saw my face from me being that little boy that he knew for so many years to a boy who was couldn't talk, who was bald because I lost most of my hair back then. My dad had to shave it off because well, really part of my head was bald because of the surgery, but my dad shaved the rest off, so it was
You
awkward.
right?
But yeah, I was completely bald.
Hey, you should be fine. He's ex-military.
Yeah,
What's his problem?
but oh yeah, but anyway, I was couldn't speak, could barely. Well, I could walk, but just barely back then. But he gave me a big hug and kissed my cheek, and he was just so glad that I had survived from the horse accident.
Right.
But he shared that night he came in and he shared his testimony that he had, but his was more negative, and he didn't have any relationship with God. Whenever he had his trial, instead of walking closer to God, he had walked away from him because he was asking why that had to happen to him. But anyway, whenever he was leaving, he was sort of making a joke in a harsh way, and he gave me a pat on the stomach, and Tisa said, "Well, you better lose some pounds before my girl comes back and sees you." Because I had a little crush with um, my friend that I had back then.
That's so messed up. He should
But,
never have said that to you.
but obviously, he knew that I had that crush on my friend. And that gave me a little bit of a negative that turned to a positive reaction.
You want to talk about that?
Yes, I started going on my own diet, and I started watching the fat, and then started watching the carbs and doing all of those steps. But after I had moved to from Round Rock to Colorado, um, I had another friend who also gave me another negative response. And that gave me the courage to start being a bodybuilder.
So, Ethan, I want to ask you something.
Yes.
How you are in this state, you have this peace, especially after the bucket girl, you're back into that state of mind. Now, the ex Air Force guy comes into your life, says something really negative to you.
Yes.
I'm sure that has to hurt, no matter how much peace has been warmed over you by God. How did you respond to it? Was it a faster recovery? Were you depressed for a day or a couple of weeks until you made this change? What
Uh,
was going on in your head? Or did
I,
you go right to like, I'm gonna nail this?
I was determined that I needed to lose some weight, even though I did need the whole healing during that time because it was right after the horse accident. But I was just determined and started watching how much
Oh,
I ate.
the time frame is different. I just caught it. Sorry, I'll leave all that stuff out. Time frame is not after Bucket Girl. Time frame is when you're younger. This is right after the horse accident, right?
Yes,
This is before Bucket Girl. This
yeah,
is,
it was
you're
before.
12 years old right now, like
Yeah.
13, 12, like right after the horse accident. Okay, I was in a different time frame. My
Yeah.
my
Oh,
apologies.
no, no problem.
Okay. All right. He was negative to you. And then right away you were just determined. And then you started your journey.
Yes. After his words that he said, and then hearing from another person's comment, I chose to become a bodybuilder. I had read a few about the whole process of it becoming a bodybuilder before, and I wanted to become one, but I didn't know how to. So this was 2013 after hearing both of the ex military and the other person say those negative words. And I started lifting again. So I joined the YMCA, and I did the little steps of some of their machines at first. I kept on taking more steps and learning more about different exercises and different methods you can use. And it turned the two negatives into a positive result that even though what the doctor said was impossible for me to walk, I can now run. I can now lift heavy weights.
Wow.
Uh,
That is so
I
incredible.
yeah,
You have before pictures and after. can I see before and after pictures? Can I incorporate that into this interview?
Yes.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome because it would just inspire people that have been knocked down because of their weight.
Yes.
And you are the perfect candidate for being a trainer because you have such empathy, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Yes, definitely. So anyway, I like to being physical, um, being strong. It also helped my walk with God to become strong in my spiritual realm.
Right. You're
Yes,
touching base in your book about that.
yes, definitely.
Strength on the
Yeah,
outside, but it's the spiritual strength you were building.
and it showed more clearer for the people to see that I had changed from being a vegetable in a hospital bed to being a strong bodybuilder, both in the spiritual realm and the physical realm.
Wow, that's so cool. I love it. I love
Yes.
that. That's so cool. And I love how you pulled that all together too. And
Thank you.
I love how you make comparisons to the Bible as to what was going on in
Yes.
the time. And it was very fitting too. I felt like everything that you compared to was just spot on. It was
Thank you. It was all inspired by the Holy Spirit. I'm not really good of remembering scriptures, but it was the Holy Spirit that it just told me while I was writing this book to add on a certain page. And I would look on the Bible Gateway or another website for that. What the Holy Spirit was telling me, and there it was, and I added to the book, and it goes perfectly with the story.
it did. It went perfect with the story. So
Yeah.
probably working together because
Yes,
I think in
definitely.
order for the Holy Spirit to work, you have to give yourself some credit here.
Yes.
You have to be receptive to it. And you are definitely receptive to it and you are searching. I think
Yes.
searching and I think it's a mutual collaboration is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, definitely. He inspired me over 100 verses in the Bible, so to add to this book.
That's so awesome.
And it's not one translation. I think there's over 10, maybe did over 10 different translations from the English standard to the even to some of the more modern day versions, like the Passion.
Okay. Are you
Yeah.
talking about King James Version and different versions of the Bible?
Yes.
Talking about? Okay. I was just
Yeah.
curious. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I added any King James versions to it for the readers so they wouldn't misunderstand what I was talking about, but I did use the New King James once or twice. But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very okay. So I wanted to convey to the audience that it seemed like you were having trial after trial, but then you were also having miracle after miracle too. So there's
Yes.
that. I feel that even when you have opposition, opposition could be there for a reason. Like I said before,
Yes.
it could be like a protection, especially in a relationship. You may want this relationship, but if there's a roadblock, maybe it's because it's to protect you. Maybe that person doesn't deserve to have someone like you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It might
Yeah.
be that.
The bucket girl.
Whether you don't get a job that you wanted, maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe the book isn't going the way you want. Maybe there's a reason for it because it's going to happen at a later time. And maybe
Yes.
doing something else. And I feel like opposition is not so much a bad thing in retrospect. At the time when we're going through this, we're not very happy, but in retrospect,
Oh yeah.
we think, oh, yes, if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't be on this level here. So it may not be
Yes.
such a bad thing. And you have proven that time and time again. I,
Yes, I do. And each time I faced a trial, I always walked through both faith and perseverance that gave me strength for each miracle and blessing that I have.
that's awesome. And that's the crux of your book.
Yes,
That's pretty much the crux of your book. And
as Paul always says, fight the good fight of faith. And that was my whole journey to keep on looking closer and closer to Jesus instead of walking to the left or right side, but to keep on walking straight to God.
I feel like you're going to have a sequel. Yes?
Oh, yeah. Probably.
Because your journey is not over yet.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about you are taking the steps to be a certified trainer.
Yes.
This is your passion. You have so much passion behind it that you're going to be an incredible trainer
Yes.
for that reason, and very inspiring and good with helping, not only helping change someone's body, but help help with their self-esteem, help with their self.
Yes.
It's going to be a great journey for you and for anyone who is in your path. So super excited about that.
Yes.
Is there anything that you want to tell the audience? I know this has really changed your life immensely. Why don't you talk about how this changed your life and what what kind of message do you have for someone who is maybe in a low frequency at a low level? What can they do to get out of that level? What do you
Yes. Um, Even though I was a Christian, even when I was little and then had the horse accident, I learned to truly walking with God even through each of these trials. And that is how each of us needs to do. We need to keep on trusting in that God, that He is our healer, that He is our provider. And no matter what keep on walking in faith and keep on facing our perseverance. For if we don't, we'll just fall apart and get lost. But if we keep on trusting in Jesus, we'll get closer to that light.
I agree with you. I agree
Yes.
wholeheartedly. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Ethan, for being on the show Pieces of Victory. It was such an honor to be able to speak with you about your testimony and to share it with the world. And I know this is going to be an inspiration for most, and your book is amazing. And I have it right here.
Oh, yes.
Blessing, Trials, and Miracles. I don't know if anyone can see it with my ghost. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
There it is. And how long did it take you to write this book?
It took me a good 2 years to write it. It did. I only had the weekends to write it with all of my schedule with Grand Canyon University that I had. But during the last 7 weeks, I have finished I think there were 8 more chapters to write, and I was determined to finish it, and I did.
Wow, that's so awesome. You should be so proud. I'm
I am.
good. This is great. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for letting me be on it.
And this is definitely Pieces of Victory. I'm Jeneen with Pieces of Victory, and this is Ethan Gary. And you'll be seeing a lot more of him because he's going to be working on a screenplay, and hopefully this will bring.
Oh, oh yes, and you're going to be my co-writer.
It's going to be amazing. Yes,
Oh yes.
let's get on that. Thank you so much, Ethan, for being on the show Pieces of Victory. Although my show is about survivors who have survived lockdown residential programs, Ethan is a survivor. He had survived a traumatic force accident and has given us hope on Pieces of Victory. I am so happy that he was on our show today. It was such an honor. I love Ethan. He is amazing. And I, like you, have just been inspired by this wonderful story. Thank you so much, Ethan, for being on the show.